Welcome to Pathways to Greatness, where we explore the journeys of exceptional individuals who have achieved remarkable success in their fields. Whether you're an aspiring athlete, a business leader, or simply someone striving to reach your full potential, this podcast is your guide to unlocking the greatness within you. Join us as we dive into inspiring stories, practical strategies, and the mindset shifts that can transform your path to greatness. Let's embark on this journey together. Hey, welcome back to the Pathways to Greatness podcast. As the bumper on the beginning said, that I'm your host, Jeff Forrester. And today's guest is Coach Torrian Wilson. He's the founder of Crafting Linemen. And if you can't tell, I have a huge affinity to offensive line coaches. It's the world that I live in. I've been trying to get volleyball coaches to represent my daughter and what she loves to do. They're a little more difficult to get a hold of, especially at the club that she's at, but that's okay. I'll keep trying. But today's episode is filled with really great stuff. And what I enjoyed the most about it was seeing Coach Wilson's true joy when he starts talking about helping and serving others. And we talk about a lot of different things. I could have kept on going over and over and gone to probably another hour at least and just asking him questions, because I really enjoy his perspective on coaching young people, but then how it all translates over to life. And if you've listened to any of these episodes other than today, you'll see that regardless of the avenue of life that each individual talks about, whether it's sports, corporate world, or wherever that they're in, all these lessons translate in how you can live your life every day. We talk about a multitude of things about so what, now what, which is a great one. And it's a good lesson to really focus on what now. So it happened. So what, now what? Meaning that it happened. Now, what are you going to do about it? So move forward, giving yourself grace. And another one is be where your feet are. And that's such an important lesson as well. So I won't continue to ramble on. I really enjoyed this episode. I know you will as well. So give Coach Wilson a follow. And also, if you can, review and share this show with somebody that you love and care for and think that it will help. So ladies and gentlemen, Coach Torrian Wilson. Okay, we're back to a Pathways to Greatness podcast, and today I have Coach Torrian Wilson. I'm really excited. He's one that I learned about on social media, and Coach, most of my guests I find on social media, but I actually got to meet him in person last year in Miami. He is the coach of a premier 5-on-5 team, and my son was participating in a 5-on-5 event. We'll get into some of that stuff later, but I was able to meet him in person, so it was really nice. Good to see you, Coach.
Man, great to see you as well. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. And everybody, so Coach Torrian Wilson is the founder and CEO of Crafting Linemen, and he's a UCF and an NFL alum. And those of you who have been on the show or listened to the show quite a few times, and then anybody that's new coming in, linemen have a near and dear place in my heart because my son is a junior offensive lineman. And so I'm surrounded by great people. And I know you've put some things up and some other people that I follow. Just talk about the elite level athleticism that linemen have. And they just get misrepresented of just thinking about being the big guy that just pushes people around. But there is so much technique and so much athleticism that's required by these big guys that literally are in collisions every single play that they're on the field. You know, the skill guys get to dance around and have fun backflips in the end zone, but they wouldn't get there without the linemen.
100%. No, I definitely agree on that. Like I tell guys all the time, like outside of being a cornerback, offensive line is one of the most unique and hardest position to play. Because one thing I tell guys is this: as an offensive lineman, we're the only position that never gets to see the ball. Right? So when you think about it, once the ball is snapped, we have to feel the quarterback behind us. We have to trust the running back is going to hit the hole, right? So we're probably the only position that never sees the ball. So that's something unique in itself, right? So everything is a feeling. That's why it's so important when coaches talk about 5 guys being on the same page, Because if all 5 guys are on the same page, then we can trust that the person behind us is going to do their job as well, whether it's the quarterback or the running back as well. So, this is a awesome position. I love this position. I played this position. So I could talk O-line all day.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's when you were talking, the whole thing I'm thinking about is what a metaphor of a leader, of that being an offensive lineman is that many times as leaders in life, if you're a parent, if you're just a leader in general, is you're not touching the ball, but you have to make sure, like you said, I love the way you describe, it's that feeling of everybody behind you that you have to continue to help remove obstacles for other people to be successful. So I love it. It's unselfish. But before we get into the meat of the program, I always like to play a game called Would You Rather. You ready?
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Some people are always scared of this one, but it's a fun one.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather freeze time or go back in time?
I think I'd rather go back in time.
Why so?
There's people that's not here that was very important in my life. One being my father, and so I think I'll go back just to have those moments again, and also go back in time to really just kind of know what I know now. Change things as well. If we're talking about the football or the sports aspect of it, it's the whole aspect of being able to take care of my body, right? Cherishing the relationships and talking to people more, throughout my career. So those two things are definitely something that I would love to go back and change.
Do you think you would have listened to yourself if the now Torian went back to the young, let's say sophomore in college or even senior in high school and said, you need to take better care of your body and cherish these times? Do you think you would have listened to yourself?
I think I would have, especially if you gave me evidence, right? If you gave me evidence of what the future is going to look like, right? The Torian back then probably wouldn't have if you didn't give me the evidence or if you didn't show, right? Because a lot of times, especially as young adults, right, we have to see to believe it, right? Because someone can tell you 100 times, right? Growing up, your mom tell you don't touch the stove, right? Don't touch the stove. That old saying. We didn't believe it until we had the evidence, right? Until we touched the stove and burnt our hand. That's when we was like, okay, we know not to do that again. But if the stove was never on and it was never hot, we'll touch the stove all day, right? So once you see that evidence and I see the evidence, I know I would have went back and listened to myself for sure.
So around and I'm asking this selfishly, so around the area of recovery and taking care of your body, what would be the evidence that you would give yourself that you feel like would really tip the scale in your younger self listening to you?
Well, I was one of those guys that I felt like I could play through anything. So if I can go back, it's a couple of things I would have done. For one, I would have actually went to the training room more, right? Got those recovery, did those different things, prehab and rehab, right? I would have did all those things, went into the cold tub more, right? So those things were things I said, man, I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll go into the cold tub today, right? Because I'm feeling a little sore. But it wasn't something where I felt that, going to the training room. Because for one, if we're talking about college, like our coach always used to give us that saying, you don't make the club in the tub, right? So it was almost like, man, you better not go in the training room, man. Don't go in the training room, right? Don't get on the report, right? Because once you get in the report, you may have to miss practice, all these different things. So it was almost like, man, let me go into the room, put on some icy hot, I'll be okay. So I definitely would have went back and just said, man, listen, who cares what they think, right? You have to take care of your body, right? It's about longevity. It's about making sure that, your goal is to make it to the NFL. How do you do that? You have to be available. You have to be healthy, right? So it's not caring about what other people think. It's about making sure, almost being selfish, right? You got to make sure you take care of yourself, right? get to the end goal.
Yeah, great message. And the episode previous to yours, it's a gentleman who wrote a book called The 5 L's, and one of them was leisure. And he just talked about the importance of self-love and self-care. And if you're not healthy, you can't take care of the other people around you. And like on the football field, if you're not 100%, can you protect those people that you've been tasked to protect because you're injured and you're not able to move as fast and quick? And yeah, it's not as noble to be on the sideline and recover, but it's still a necessary part of the game.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so next one. Would you rather live without music or TV?
TV.
Okay.
I can live without TV. You know, I barely watch TV now, so so I'm okay. I listen to music more because it depending on the vibe, the mood. You know, it may be Christian music, gospel music. It may be rap music. It may be R&B. So definitely can't go without the music.
What's one of the last things that you may have listened to on?
Well, a couple songs. If we're talking about gospel, on the way home this morning, listened to one of my favorite songs that got me through everything. Listen to it every day. Is Marvin Sapp, "Never Would Have Made It." So that is definitely a song that that gets me through a lot on a day to day. And then if we're talking about just on the other end, I like to listen to a lot of local rappers. And R&B people in Miami. So one of my favorites is Major Nine. You know, I got to see him, you know, grow from what he did in high school all the way up to what he's doing now. So he's one of my favorites as well. So
no, that's awesome. I have not heard that Marvin Sapp song, but I will be sure to find it because that sounds like a good one.
Yeah, great song. Great song.
No, that's awesome. Okay, would you rather have pizza or tacos?
That's a good one. That's a good one. If I just had to say like on an everyday, it'll probably have to be pizza. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have particular topping style?
Oh, for sure. So I'll have to go with the pepperoni and sausage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a particular place that is your go-to pizza place?
Yeah. So Papa John's.
Okay.
So you can't go wrong with Papa John's. Add the garlic on there. You know, it's good.
Have you had, you know, they have that Papa John hidden pizza where it started, I think, with Domino's, but now Papa John's has it where you replace the sauce with Alfredo. Have you done that one?
So I've seen it, but I have never tried
I haven't either.
Okay. I was going to ask if it was good.
It sounds good. It sounds good, but, you know, you can't go wrong with it. It's Alfredo. I mean, that's the only reason why you go to Olive Garden is breadsticks and a side of Alfredo.
100%. 100%.
It's definitely not good for us, but it sure does taste good.
Definitely have to go work out after.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So last question is, if you came with a warning label, what would it say?
A warning label. It would say never satisfied.
Okay.
Because honestly, I with all the good that I do, helping, you know, whether it's youth all the way up to the pro levels, whether it's giving back with my book bag giveaways and all these different things, I feel like it's just, I feel like I always want more, right? So I always feel like I'm never satisfied, and that could be a good or a bad thing, right? Because, you know, people tell me all the time that, you know, give yourself a little credit, you know, pat yourself on the back a little bit. But it's almost like that mentality of an offensive lineman, right? We don't always get credit. So we don't need credit. You know, we just hit the ground, put our head down, we grind, we want to protect everyone, we want to help everyone, and don't need to get noticed. Don't need all the accolades and all these different things. So so it's kind of like my mentality in life, right? So never satisfied, just keep your head down, just keep working.
You know, you bring up a really good point with that, and thank you for sharing, because I like the never satisfied. And when you were talking, I was thinking of it. It's got two sides to that coin. It could drive you to success, but it could also drive you to insanity because you're never satisfied.
Yes.
But you said something that would really just resonated about linemen, particularly in the mindset of that they know that they don't get credit, and so they don't need credit. The problem that I see so many times is, like you said, and it sounds like you've received the same feedback, is it's very difficult for them to be proud of what they do and who they are. So self-promotion is very difficult because we're taught to be humble. We're taught not to have an ego, but there's a time to be proud of the effort in the process that you go through. How do you help yourself and help young people? Because this goes beyond offensive linemen, but again, for me particularly, is that how do you help young people see the need to properly and with grace and meekness promote themselves and be proud of themselves?
Well, I mean, again, it comes down to taking pride in what we do. So for me, I know that playing offensive line is like it doesn't have all of the, the coolness to it, right? So what I try to make sure that the guys understand is that nothing goes without us, right? So you have to make sure that you take pride in what we do, because if we don't do our job, we don't score. And then also too, man, I try to show guys like different highlights, right? And one of the things that I love doing with my young guys is that, like, if I have a session where I have my pro guys training, and the kids are able to come and see and watch and maybe even get into the training, man, they love that, right? Because now they get to see how the pro guys train, right? The swag that they have, because now they're getting paid all this money. So now it's cool being offensive lineman, right? But when you're in high school and youth league and sometimes college, right? They don't promote you like you supposed to be promoted. It's changing now with the NIL and things like that. But I just force these guys to understand, like, have confidence in yourself, believe in yourself, and have a little swag about yourself too.
Yeah, and I feel like that goes to all of us in life, is you got to have a little swag for yourself. And it's not being boastful. It's not being, and again, it's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be proud of what you do. And I had one of my coaches had shared that if it's in alignment with your purpose, there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's, your goal is to smash someone as an offensive lineman. So be proud of that. Be proud of your knowledge of the game and of defensive formations, and be able to call fronts and do those things that are necessary. That it's okay to say, this is what I do well at, and there's areas that I'm not so great at. So again, like we said earlier, there's two sides to the coin.
Exactly. 100%.
Okay. So Coach, I started Pathways to Greatness back at the beginning of 2023 for a multitude of reasons. One is that I wanted to bring on people like yourself, for me to learn from and to share your wisdom with other people, and to also help them understand that everybody has a different definition of greatness. And upon that, everybody has a different pathway that they're looking to achieve greatness. I think that that's that carrot that constantly moves. And you're always pursuing that, because ultimately I want people to understand is that pathway is not linear for anyone. It's not point A to point B and it's a straight line. There's ups and downs and twists and turns. We can all testify to that.
Right.
The other part is I just don't want people to quit. I feel like there's so many people that start on that and things start to begin to get difficult and they feel like they just can't and shouldn't continue to pursue it. So I just don't want people to quit. I want them to keep pursuing and making sure. You may have to change the plan a little bit, but keep the goal the same. So with all that being said, what would you say your definition of greatness is?
That's a great question. So I mean, again, I'm a simple guy, man. So my definition of greatness is doing what makes you happy, right? Like, what gets you up in the morning, right? So is finding your purpose and making sure that every single day you're working towards that. So I think a lot of times, man, people wake up and really don't know what they want, with life, right? So I feel like, find something that and I heard Steve Harvey say it one time, like, find something that you're good at, whatever it is. Find something that you're good at and go attack it. So, it's really simple for me, man. It's finding your purpose, making sure that you chase your purpose, waking up every day knowing that that day you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that your goal and your purpose is accomplished. So,
Yeah, and it's not going to be easy.
no,
I can
no,
tell you that.
like you said, there's ups and downs. There's you're gonna be up sometimes, you're gonna be low sometimes, you're gonna be happy, you're gonna be sad. It's different things because again, it goes back to everyone doesn't understand your purpose. Everyone doesn't understand your goal. No, everyone doesn't understand what you're trying to chase. So sometimes you may need someone to lean on, man, and that person may not be there to lean on sometimes because they just don't understand what you're trying to get done, and it could get frustrating sometimes. So, yeah, you're gonna experience every emotion.
Yeah, and it can be lonely as well. And you said you talked about having somebody to lean on. What would you say is the importance of the people that you surround yourself with?
Oh, it's very important. I have a close, tight circle. One being my wife. She has my back with everything. So that's definitely the number one person to lean on. And then I have other friends that I lean on as well. Man, one of the coaches that pretty much like my right hand man, Coach Quell. He's a person, man. He gets tired of me because he know how my mind works. So so my mind never stops. So sometimes I know he gets tired of me, man, but he doesn't show it. But he always have feedback for me. So that's definitely another person. Obviously, like my brothers and close friends and former players that I played with as well. So.
What's key, and I hope everybody really heard what Coach had to say, is that one person that you can tell in his voice, and those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see it in his face, is that one person, that Coach, is there and he depends on them and he trusts them. The key that he also shared was he receives feedback from that person. And I guarantee you it's not always warm and fuzzy and what you want to hear. Many times is what you need to hear. So how do you help young people understand the importance of receiving feedback?
So, I mean, again, in this generation, they have to believe it. They have to see it to believe it, right? So, for me, giving them feedback, especially on things like life and things, when it comes to sports and our position, I'm not going to say it's pretty easy, but they respect me enough because I've been there, I've done that. So they respect me enough to listen. And then you have some that don't listen, but eventually they come back around and say, Coach, you was right. Right. So it really comes down to really understanding these kids, right? If we're talking about young players, it's about understanding these young players and who they are, right? Everyone is different. So you have to get to know these players. That's why, man, I love training my pro guys, but having these young college kids and these high school kids are like some of my favorite because I remember being there and I never had a me when I was your age, right? So being able to have a guy who played in college, who played in the pros, who trained pro players, being able to listen to him and train with him and listen to some of the things that, he's doing, these kids get to have, when they come train with me. So, it's about just making sure that you understand these kids, man, and really listen to them because a lot of these young players are really going through things in their really day-to-day life. So, and one thing too, not to get kind of sidetracked, is that these players have to deal with so much more, these young players, than I did when I played, right? Social media for one, right? When I played, if I got beat on a rep, just the people in the stands knew about it. Now these kids get beat on the rep. Now social media is hassling them. So it's about keeping them kind of grounded as well, right? Making sure that they understand, like, listen, it's one rep, right? Some of your best players in the NFL gets beat and things happen. So you have to keep them grounded.
Yeah, and that's super gold for everybody to hear. And again, he was talking about young players and just athletes in general, but the bulk of my listeners tend to be our age or my age and your age
Yeah.
since they're different.
Right.
But it's still, that happens in life, and like you said, is that mistakes we make is just one rep, and you have to be willing to extend grace to yourself. And that's what I see definitely young players. And it's taken me until I'm 51, until my, close to 50 to understand is that, a mistake, everybody makes mistakes in life. Everybody makes different degrees of mistakes. And our ability to give ourselves grace, not off the hook, but give ourselves grace for making that. And then saying, okay, I need to redirect. And, believers, we talk about repenting. That's turn away from what you used to do and go in a different direction. And that's what we need to say is like, okay, I did it. Now I'm turning this way. I don't want to do that again. So what do I need to do to move forward? So for those adults out there listening, is take what Coach is saying and apply it to your life, because it doesn't change.
100%. I agree.
Okay. So tell us, we got into that and I knew we would, because I just, again, I really enjoy the stuff that you put out on social media. Is give everybody a little bit of your background of who Coach Wilson is and the things that has led you here to today and creating Crafting Linemen.
Yeah, so to kind of give you just an early life. So grew up obviously in Miami. Went to Miami Northwestern, powerhouse, in South Florida. Well, in the nation at that time. Went on to play at the former Under Armour All-American. So coming out, I was the number 8 guard in the country, and then went on to play at the University of Central Florida, where I just felt like that was home. I had different offers, obviously, but that just felt like home, and I wanted to be close to home for obvious reasons with my mom and everything like that, not being able to travel to all the games and things. So, 3 hours away, got to do that. Then once I finished up at UCF, I went on to play at the Detroit Lions, and then went on to play with the New England Patriots as well. Once I finished that, I went on and became a GA at FIU. So I did that, and it was good. I enjoyed myself. We were the first staff with Bush Davis in his first year there, and I wanted to go a different direction. So I went on and I coached high school football. So I did that for a few years, and that's where Crafting Linemen sort of began. Because I had some of my high school players reaching out to me outside of practice, wanting to do extra work. And, one of my players, man, was recording everything and put it on social media, not knowing that he was doing that. And so people started reaching out to him about training. Like, who are you training with? So he told them and things like that. So I decided to get a social media, Instagram, and put that out there. And things just started to grow. Before you know it, man, Justin McCray, he was with the played 7 years in the league, and or 9 years in the league. Sorry, 9 years in the league, and he was my first NFL guy. And so when he put it out there, that's when things started to grow as well. So so that right there led me to where I am now, where I have numerous of NFL guys, college guys, all the way down to youth.
That's awesome. Are you still doing high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
Every level.
That's great. That's real. I meant, like, are you coaching high school?
Oh, no. I haven't. Yeah, I haven't coached high school since 2019.
Okay. So you're just doing this full time, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I want everybody to rewind and go back to what he said before, and what he learned from Steve Harvey is finding that purpose, find something that you love to do. And what's awesome, Coach, is how there's no question it was ordained by God for that to happen, because you set out just to help this young man who asked for additional help and support. Mm-hmm. As a coach, as a giver, as a caretaker, like you said, that linemen typically are, you wanted to help where you could, because you knew it would translate on the field for you and your own high school team. Mm-hmm. Well, unbeknownst to you, this young man's filming you. Then it just continues to compound into where you're at today. And it started, this is the lesson I want people to hear. It started with the genuine desire to serve and to help somebody else. And I think that's just awesome.
Yep, exactly.
And then here you are. What do you enjoy about helping other people?
Man, just knowing that I'm able to give and not wanting to receive anything. I'm not looking to receive anything when I'm helping someone. But it's like I have a lot of faith, right? So I know that I may not be wanting, looking to receive anything, but I know God is going to give me something. He's going to bless me with something because I am, giving and following my purpose and helping people, right? So it's just really just seeing a smile on people's face. Depends on what route I'm taking, right? It may be, if I'm helping a kid get into college, right? So that's what makes me happy. I know I'm able to give this kid the opportunity to play 4 years and finish, and follow up with his career and things like that. If it's when I do my book bag giveaways and in my old neighborhood, it's being able to see the smiles on these kids' face when they, have book bags and food and just having a good time out there. Right. So it really all depends on what route I'm taking as far as with the giving part. So, cause they give me different emotions, when I'm doing them.
Yeah, I like what you said is that, they give. And it's so often, and I really appreciate that. And again, if you can see his face, it just lit up when he talked about giving and helping and serving. And if there's a challenge that I can give everybody today, and I've been the last few episode coaches, I've been trying to add things as a listener of podcasts. I want to take one thing away from each podcast and move forward and be intentional about it. And I would challenge the audience today is figure out one thing that you can give to someone else without, as you said, asking for anything in return. That could be a smile. It could be opening a door. It could be a book bag. You don't know what it is, but it's just think of something to give to someone else in the human race and see what happens and how it makes you feel.
100%. Exactly.
Yep. Well, because we're commanded to be the good neighbor, correct? I mean, it's a task. And so it's not, and I know the people that are my normal listeners may, get annoyed with me hearing this, but we're commanded to be the good neighbor, not wait until someone else is a good neighbor to us to then reciprocate that. It's you be good, you help and serve others without needing anything in return, because honestly, most of the time you won't get anything in return other than that opportunity. Another thing that you said that I really would love to hear your ideas on is the receiving part. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times givers are great at giving and they're horrible at receiving because it makes them feel uncomfortable. So how do you help? I know we talked about receiving feedback. How do you help people receive a gift? Again, whether that's your time, talents, or treasures, how do you help people with that? And how do you deal with receiving?
That's funny. That's I guess that's one of my flaws because I'm not good at receiving. Because for one, again, it goes back to I felt I'm not the richest. I'm not I don't have everything, but I'm okay with me, right? I know what I'm doing it for. I know I have a higher power. I know God is with me, so I know that's who I'm doing it for. So, um, I'm getting better. I'm getting better at receiving things. It just naturally, it goes back again with having the offensive line mindset. Naturally we're givers. Because we don't receive anything, right? We don't get our names called. We don't get any of those things. So, naturally, I'm okay with giving, but as far as receiving, I'm still working on that. But one of the things that I'm starting to realize is that it's okay. It's okay to receive. And another outlook I'm looking at too is that if you're wanting to give me something, then that must be a way of God saying, "Here, take this," right? Especially if it's coming from a good place, right? I don't always. I've turned down a lot of gifts, right? Because again, I said I'm working on that. But now I'm starting to understand. It's just that full circle coming around. Because now what I'm starting to realize is that things that I've done 2 and 3 years ago. You know, people's like, man, listen, man, you done this from things I forgot about, right? Whether it was helping their son, helping someone's son with something, or giving something, or putting people in contact with each other, whatever it may have been. Now I'm starting to see, like, man, like this happened 2 3 years ago, and now it's starting to come full circle of like, wow, you know, this is really happening, man. God is really, he's really there. You know what I mean? So it's now I'm starting to just understand, like, man, if it's coming back around, that's God telling me, like, listen, here's your reward for what you've done.
Yeah, I love that picture that you painted, and in planting seeds. Just
Mm-hmm.
because you plant the seed does not mean that immediately a tree pops out. It does take
Yeah.
time. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing I'll offer you that I learned, because my mom's a giver, and so she wants to just give, which I got that from her. But
Mm-hmm.
what we started to realize is that when we turn something away from a giver, that steals their joy. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, we started to look at is that she explained it to me. She's like, I love to do this. I want to help you. And I'm a grown man with a family, but my mom still wants to take care of me and take care of us. And that when we say no, when we push back, like her buying dinner, that's stealing her joy. Like she wants to do that. And that has really helped me receive better. As I can say, Mom, you don't have to, but I don't want to steal your joy, and it's okay. And you can tell, like, we laugh, but she's so excited because now she understands that I understand. And it's that, like you said, it's two givers trying to figure this out, because she doesn't
Yeah.
want to take anything, but I don't want to take anything, but she wants to give and I want to give. And
Yeah.
it becomes difficult. And so once I started to realize that givers, if you don't receive it, you're stealing the joy from them giving.
That's great. I didn't think of it like that.
So hopefully that'll help.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But that also speaks to your character, is that you just
Yeah.
want to give, you want to see, support and see people do well. I also liked what you said, is that you gave certain things and you served certain people 2, 3, 4 years prior, and now it's coming full circle.
Yeah. It's a test. Again, it's a test of faith and those different things, man. And now it's starting to again make full circle.
Right. So you talked a little bit about, helping young people, helping them kind of find where they're at and develop their skills. How do you help them navigate just a lot of the life challenges that occur now? And not even the specifics of social media, but just young people and adults alike, we're just getting bombarded left and right, and they're just as poorly equipped as we are to handle it. They're even less equipped. So how do you help them? Because I know in your role, yes, you help them with the technical side of football, but you're also a mentor and a friend and the fun uncle that's there to help and
Yeah.
support. So how do you help them?
Man, one thing I pride myself on is making training a safe place, right? So we get our work done, we do the things that we have to do, but once we get done with that, I want them to understand, like, this is a safe place, right? I've 9 times out of 10, I've done or have been through what you've been through, right? So understand that, right? And if I haven't, I know someone that has, been through that. So I can probably be a good source for you to kind of get some advice from. So for me, it's just really just making sure that these guys understand that this is coming out of love, right? I don't need anything. I don't want anything. Like, this is not going to go anywhere outside of whatever we're talking about or where we are at that point. So I just really open up a safe place for them, making sure that they understand that you can communicate, you can talk with me, because you are 100% right. A lot of these kids are going through so much more than just sports, right? They're in their real life, they're going through certain things. So for me, it's about making sure that whatever they're going through, if I'm able to help right at that moment, I will do that. Right. And if I know anyone or whatever the situation may be, my goal is to try to help them as much as possible, but making sure that they have a safe place.
Yeah, that's powerful. And again, it's all a message that I want the listeners to translate. Is if you're not a young person, it's how can you make your friends feel safe? How can you help them, again, have conversations and keep it between the two of you and not run off and go tell somebody else, because that never works out.
Ever.
But, and again, I don't know why it's human nature, but it's human nature that, okay, I heard, Coach Wilson tell me something, so now I'm going to go tell somebody else something. And I don't know if it's supposed to try to make us feel better. I don't know
Right.
what it is, but it's a battle. It's definitely something that we have to take our thoughts captive. So on that note is the mental side of the game and managing through. We talked about grace with mistakes, but just getting prepared. How do you help young people prepare their minds as well as their bodies?
So all right, so when we're talking about the mindset, right? One of my favorite sayings, and it's on one of my shirts that I have. It's a "so what now what" mentality, right? And that was something that I got from Coach Mogridge, who's now at Georgia Tech, but he was my coach at UCF at the time, and then he was the FIU offensive line coach where I was a GA at. So we always had that connection. He's another man. Yeah, he's a giver too, and he man, I owe that man a lot. But yeah, but so yeah, so it's really just making sure that these guys really understand just what you're getting yourself into, right? So that "so what now what" mentality comes from the sense of like, listen, you're going to mess up. You're not perfect. In games, you will probably give up a sack. That's like literally, this is what I tell my guys. You will give up a sack. You probably will create a tackle for loss. You probably will miss a block. You won't have a perfect game. Now that we got that out the way, are you ready to roll now? Are you ready? Okay. So with them understanding that, and this was something that I took with my players too when I coach, is when they understand that part, because everyone feels like they have to be perfect. But now once you give them the leeway to understand, like, mistakes is okay. But what you don't want to do is repeat the mistakes, right? So it's about, okay, we made the mistakes. Let's go to the sideline and let's fix the mistakes. So I pretty much preach to them, man, just understand like the "so what now what," because a lot of times what happens with young players, and I went through it, is that we make a mistake and we're hard on ourselves, right? And then once we're hard on ourselves, what happens again? We make the same mistake, right? So we go out there thinking about it over and over and over, and we make the same mistake over and over and over. So that's why I tell them, listen, no matter, your coach is going to be your coach. He's supposed to be hard on you. He's supposed to yell at you, right? Because he's trying to win a game. He's teaching you different things or whatever the case may be. But you cannot allow that to deter you from your goal and what you're trying to get done, right? You made your mistake. Let's move forward, right? And then as you start to see that, man, the players start to kind of, all right, okay, yeah, I get it. I can't tell you how many times guys call me every week, like, man, Coach, did you see the game? Did we see the game? Man, I messed up on this play, because they know I'm gonna get on them. I messed up on this play, but man, I fixed it. So I think that's something that they definitely have to, make sure they take pride in.
Yeah, great lesson. And again, I know I keep saying this, but I want the audience to really understand is these things that he's saying translates to life. All of those things that we're all going to mess up. None of us are perfect. And just like he said, is that admit it, understand it, and move on. It's time to change and correct what you've done wrong. So you talked about two coaches, and your face and your body language changed dramatically when you talked about those two coaches.
Yeah.
So, and I don't remember their names, but of the two coaches, what were one from each, valuable life lessons that you took as a football player, but then more importantly, as a man from each one of those coaches? We'll pay homage to them.
Yeah. So, well, one of the coaches, what was just what was a player, or one of the coaches that worked with me. So we kind of go back and forth on different things like that. But I'll definitely talk about Coach Mogers, right? So again, I've had some coaches in my life that definitely has made me a better person. Football and outside of football as well. And, Coach Key also won. He was my offensive line coach at UCF, now the head coach at Georgia Tech. But Coach Mogridge, one thing that he told, well, two things. One thing that I got on the field that that helped me a lot, I would say, is he used to have this saying, and I know a lot of people say it, but he used to have this saying at the time. That was my first time kind of hearing it. He used to say, "Be where your feet are." Right? So be where your feet are, which simply means don't look ahead, right? Don't look too far ahead. Don't look in the past. Like, be in the now. Like, be where you are right now and be in the moment. So that was something that, honestly, with football and outside of football, has helped me a lot, because, just understanding, a lot of times we look so far ahead, for what's to happen, like what's going to happen. Or we look in the past as, man, I wish I could have, or I wish this, I wish that, right? You just have to understand, like, man, just be in the present, be now, right? Be where you are. So that's definitely something I took from. And then obviously the so what now what mentality has helped me a lot as well. Because Coach, man, one thing I can say about Coach Mo is that he, once I got done playing with football, and I know it's kind of a little side note, but once I finished up with football, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I had no clue. Literally just trying to find myself, because I've been playing football since 8th grade, right? So now it's time to hang up the cleats. I have no clue what I want to do. I'm kind of lost trying to figure out, what's next. And man, it goes back to having faith. All of a sudden, he gets the offensive line job at FIU. I'm like one of the first people he hit up, reach out to, as far as, coming to help him GA, especially with me knowing the area in Miami and things like that. So, man, he definitely took me, under his wing and allowed me to kind of become alive again, pretty much, right? Because I didn't have football anymore, right? But still being on the sidelines and being part of it, really helped me a lot.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. And that be where your feet are, and, so what, now what, those are two things that I think everybody should make their own t-shirt with those on, or you can go to craftinglinemen.com and buy your own.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But those are so critical. And again, that be where your feet are is one that I've heard from several different people, and it's hard. It's biblical. Mm-hmm. And it's really difficult to do, is to pay attention for today, because tomorrow has its own worries. So It's like, deal with what you've got right now. Mm-hmm. And those that are sports minded, is you got to worry about the guy that's lined up right in front of you right now. You can't worry about what happened last play or next play. It's, you got this person right here, right now. What are you going to do?
100%.
And so in life, we have a problem. What is the problem we have right now? Quit manufacturing and using your imagination of what's going to happen next. Deal with what's in front of you right now.
Yes, I agree. And along those lines, I heard someone say it, like, so many times we think about the future, and we put so many different ideas, of what's going to happen tomorrow, and 80% of the time it doesn't even happen. Right? So, we put all this stress and anxiety on ourselves, and 9 times out of 10, it doesn't even happen.
There's a really good movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's called Free Solo.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so if you have Disney Plus, I think it's still on Disney Plus, but it's about this guy that does free climbing, and he's like set all these world records. So this free climber, this goes with what you're saying, so bear with me, is he talks about is, I don't imagine the problems that aren't really problems. He's like, the only thing I worry about is, will I die if I don't put my hand in the right place? So he's like, I measure the things I worry about based on the potential consequences. If I move my hand this way, yeah, it's just moving my hand, but I'm not going to go past that. But if I do this, will I die? So if you get a chance to watch it, it's fascinating, because these guys are crazy.
Yeah, right.
But it brings a different perspective to what we do on a regular basis of really sit down and think, will death or physical harm to me or someone that I love and care for, just anybody that I know, will that happen if I don't do X? Otherwise, everything else is kind of like just figure it out. We can recover from just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great lesson that he shared. So, Coach, I want to be very respectful for your time because I could keep going on for another hour, but I don't want to put you through that. So, what would be something you'd like to leave the audience with today?
The one thing I definitely is starting to really resonate with me now is enjoy the little things, enjoy the moments, cherish the moments, cherish the people. And I know it sounds cliche, but people say, leave a legacy, right? For me, it's not really leaving a legacy. It's just about what do I want people to say when I'm gone, right? How do I want people to feel, when I'm not here anymore? So, my biggest thing now is just really just cherishing the moments, making sure I can do as much as I can while I'm here. I have a newborn daughter now, so my outlook on life is a lot different now. So I think that'll be the biggest thing, man. Just cherish the moments, and just live for the moments. Enjoy every moment.
Amen to that. And if I can make a suggestion, is those precious moments with your young daughter is journal those because you'll forget them. My mom told me, and we didn't do it. And sure enough, we forget, and every once in a while we'll remember. But it's wonderful parting remarks for all of us to just enjoy the little things. So how can people find and follow you, Coach?
Yeah, so Instagram is crafting_lineman. On Twitter, it's Crafting Linemen. Yeah.
Well, I'll have those links in the show notes. So if you have a budding young offensive lineman and you want some coaching, by all means, reach out. Coach, I really appreciate it. I learned a lot about you. I loved the conversation. It was fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. So everybody, Coach Torrian Wilson. Thanks for joining us on the Pathways to Greatness podcast. We hope that today's conversation inspired you to take steps towards your own greatness. Remember, every journey starts with a single step. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might benefit. Actually, share it with 3 people that you might think it might benefit. Until next time, keep pursuing your passions and carving your own path to greatness. Take care.